In all likelihood, tomorrow we'll see the 200th death in New South Wales linked to this current wave of the outbreak. We've seen 12 more reported today. That brings us to 198 since mid-June in total, and this is the worst day, or the equal worst day of deaths in this wave. And the trend line there, it's continuing to point up. Because of all of the cases we've seen in the last few weeks, we'll expect to see numbers of this magnitude or even higher in the coming weeks. The pressure on hospitalisation too will continue to build for some time, but the glimmer of hope is, well, the case numbers, they are starting to stabilise, at least for the time being. 1,259 cases today, and if we look at the 7-day average, that shows you this trend line a bit clearer. We've had another day where that average has come down. Remembering, this is not the case uniformly across Sydney and New South Wales. Some LGAs, some parts of Sydney are seeing improvement while others aren't. But if this trend holds, if we continue to see overall case numbers dropping, well, that actually sort of reinforces the Doherty modelling in a few ways. It's just one example, but it's heartening to see that the Doherty model suggested with 50% vaccine coverage, with a lockdown, with partial test, trace and isolate, those together should be enough to give you control and see the curve bending and pointing downwards. So that would be at 50% vaccine coverage in New South Wales at the moment. We're looking at 47.5%. So that maybe gives us some clues about when we might start to see some bending in Victoria as well, because the curve there continuing to point up. Another 423 cases recorded today. So despite it being a bit lower than yesterday, the 7-day average is still significantly up because of the surge that we've just seen in the past few days. And we wouldn't expect this trend to turn around right at this moment. We've got no reason to think that it would, although we can absolutely hope that it will every single day. Potentially it will be vaccines getting us to that bending in the curve as well, and potentially now from New South Wales we're getting some hints about when we might expect to start seeing that. 2 more deaths in Victoria. Again, we'll expect more deaths in the coming days and weeks because of the surge in cases that we're only just now seeing. And in the ACT, well, it's becoming a similar picture. The case numbers are much lower. We're not seeing the sort of steepness, the escalation in numbers. This thing is there's been a lid put on the curve, if you like, but it's persistent. 13 cases today, and about 8 of them had exposure in the community, and increasingly the ACT government says, well, it's going to be vaccines that do get us out of this lockdown in the ACT as well. It's been 5 weeks. The lockdown's set to go for another 4. Not a sharp lockdown. It really is going to take that vaccination coverage, the protection that offers. And luckily, the ACT is much more advanced on vaccines than virtually every other state or territory.